What's up, guys? It's monthly encasing time for the month of March. We're going to count down everything I watched for the previous month. So let's get into it. What is up, guys? Monthly encasing time. Be sure to check out, I think I made a playlist for this, or it's in the rankings playlist, something like that. But check out the previous two that I did for February and January. This is something I'm going to be doing every month for this year. This is the first year that I've done monthly wrap-ups. I thought, you know what, last year I did like every 4 months. Why not just do it every month? Because I do at least watch 10 movies, and I do throw in some of the older movies that I might watch for the first time, or just I haven't watched in ages. Like I included like Vision Quest from the 80s in the last months. A lot of you guys said you like when I add those stuff, but most of this will be new release type material, and I will include TV shows that I watch on here as well. This won't be on the countdown, but I am in the middle of Severance right now. I just started season 2. It's a great show. Really, really great show. It's not really a comedy, even though it's got Adam Scott as the lead character. But if you're looking for something that's a little heady, with a sort of just a unique premise about splitting your own identity so that you don't remember your work self from your personal self, that is just irresistible. Couldn't wait to watch that once I heard the premise. So I recommend that for sure, but it's not in this list because I haven't finished the show yet. So it'll probably be in April's list. And also I just reviewed Wake Up. That officially comes out in theaters the first week of April, even though I reviewed it in March. But it will be in the April encasing. So let's dive right in. I got 11 movies for this one. Number 11, being the worst, is going to be The Electric State with Chris Pratt and Millie Bobby Brown. This is just a Netflix throwaway movie. It shocks me how much they spend on these freaking movies because they feel like just a Frankensteining of different properties. You know, this feels like a futuristic, post-apocalyptic type thing, even though it takes place in the 90s. That's weird. Who made that decision? I don't know. Because it doesn't really showcase a lot of the 90s culture in it because it's like an alternative universe. So why they set it in the 90s, I have no idea. But everything about this movie is just kind of bland and boring and Netflixy, and you don't really grasp onto the characters at all. Chris Pratt gets a random haircut like in the last act of the movie, which was very, very strange. So yeah, it was a throwaway movie for sure, like a lot of Netflix movies are. Guys, can I interject in here? I actually forgot one movie, and this would be the location where it would be, but that one movie happens to be the most controversial movie this year, Snow White. I don't know what happened. I don't know why. I guess I just forgot to put it because I put these on my letterbox list as the month goes along, and I forgot to put Snow White on there. So, God, what can I say about Snow White that won't get me in trouble? Because it's the cool thing is to hate this movie, okay? And it is like next to last for this month for me. I don't think it'll be like in the bottom 5 of my overall end of year list. I think there is some good. Funny enough, the best thing about this movie is the thing that the internet hates the most. For the movie, I'm not talking about the person. I think Rachel Ziegler is the best part of this movie. I can't help it. That's just, I don't know her personally. She said some really, really stupid things, okay? But I'm talking about the movie. I think the dwarves look ridiculous, okay? The dwarves look absolutely heinous. And then I think having 7 bandits and 7 dwarves, from a marketing standpoint, whoever wrote the script for this movie, whoever had the idea to say, hey, let's have 7 bandits that are multicultural, and let's have that picture leak out on the internet and have the entire internet think that that's the actual dwarves when it's not. So, wow, I'm riffing here, but I had to come back up here. This is the next day, and I had to turn everything back on just so I could tell you that I forgot to put Snow White on here. I think it's a fine movie. I said this in my review. I don't hate it. I wasn't bored. I had a decent time with the movie, but it's a pointless Disney remake that I will never watch again, okay? So, yeah, there you go. I try to give a little bit of good to every movie that I watch, and there is a little bit of good in Snow White. There I said it, okay? So, anyway, back to the countdown. Oh, and Gal Gadot is a pretty bad actress. She was poorly miscast in this movie. Number 10, Locked. I just saw Locked last weekend, I think, with Bill Skarsgård, probably one of the hardest working actors in Hollywood currently. I think he did he's done like 3 movies over the past year or something like that. But Locked, it's a one location type movie, sort of like Buried with Ryan Reynolds. Same type premise, but he's stuck in an SUV, and you got Anthony Hopkins psychologically torturing him throughout the whole thing, messing with the temperature, the AC, the heat, putting on really loud music. Although he didn't put in like crazy heavy death metal type music, which I think that would have been the worst torture for him. Even if you like death metal, if you have to listen to death metal for 5 days in a row straight, that's not going to be fun, okay? Or black metal, I don't know. I just offended a lot of black metal fans. I'm sorry. But the movie itself, it's okay. It's nothing great. Funny enough, I've been getting a lot of crap lately because you like everything you watch. I like some of every movie I watch, but that doesn't necessarily mean I love the whole movie. And this movie is just very, it's okay. It's nothing special, but I'll never watch it again. Speaking of never watch again, number 9 is A Working Man. It's fun. If you want just a Jason Statham fun, kick-ass action movie, then watch this. Do not watch this for the actual characters, especially the villains, who are extremely cartoony, way too overstuffed, like way too many villains in the movie, and all of them kind of cancel each other out. It's just fun to watch Jason Statham do his thing. They even like throw his daughter in there, although she's not the one that he's trying to rescue. He's trying to rescue his boss's daughter, which is a pro about the movie. The boss's daughter really shines in the last act. So the last act saves the movie. It's really fun. It's bloody. There's some great kick-ass action in the last act, but if that last act wasn't there, we'd be in trouble, okay? Number 8, Mickey 17, and this is where we get a little bit controversial because of the political day we live in. Depending on what you like or dislike about the movie, you might offend somebody, okay? You might offend somebody. I'm just going to be honest. I thought Mark Ruffalo's character was just a little bit too on the nose with current day politics, with the red hats and whatnot. And I'll just say this before you start calling me a mega guy, all right? Because I did get called that because I didn't like that aspect of this movie. If they did the same thing with Biden, I would be annoyed by that. If they made Mark Ruffalo, way too on the nose with the Biden mannerisms and whatnot, the norms that people make fun of with Biden, I would be like, why is that in this movie that takes place in 2054? Okay, so just to level the playground with you. I like these types of characters. The greedy corporate guy. It's been done a million times, and I usually enjoy it if it's done well. But if it's done way too on the nose and I don't get too much entertainment out of it, then I don't really care for it. And I know Bong Joon-ho, he did base the character on, I think, South Korean dictators or something like that. So I'll definitely give it some credit for that. But I do think, I don't know what happened, but they definitely leaned heavily on, I guess, Trump. He sounded like Trump, but the red hats, all that stuff, okay? And I think that wasn't even like the biggest part of the movie. I think the biggest part of the movie that was a problem for me was the pacing, and I think this was just the most disappointing movie to me, given that it's Bong Joon-ho directing it, given that it's Robert Pattinson doing a very unique, eccentric performance, and this is a very big budgeted type of sci-fi movie that had the potential to be flat out amazing, because I loved Parasite, his previous movie. And I think this was just a case of a swing and a miss. It just didn't work for me. Okay, number 7, Novocaine. We're still in the meh factor, okay? Everything's just meh this month. Nothing's like amazing. Novocaine, the idea of it is kind of cool. A guy who can't feel pain. Jack Quaid is very charismatic, as always. I think the big thing that took this one down a peg for me was the cartoony nature of the villain, played by Ray Nicholson, Jack Nicholson's son. We got to stop calling him Jack Nicholson's son. He's probably going to be pissed off that we keep doing that, but it's Jack freaking Nicholson, okay? So it's hard not to reference that. And Ray Nicholson, I think, is a good actor, and he's done a lot of really good work. I still haven't seen Borderline. I didn't hear really good things about it. I don't know if he's the problem with that movie, but I think he's done some good work. He was good in Smile 2. But for this particular role, I think they just went a little bit too cartoony with it. But it was fun. Okay, number 6, I'm going to throw a documentary in here that I watched. It's called Chaos. It was on Netflix. Netflix does put out really good documentaries. This was about Charles Manson. And I think this documentary worked well because it did offer some things that I didn't really know. I guess I was just more surface level, and this documentary kind of went deeper, and it was about all the conspiracies about the Manson murders and how he was kind of programmed by the government. It's interesting stuff. I've always been so fascinated by that case. And so if there's a well put together documentary out on it, I'm going to watch it. And, you know, I think it's paced very well in how it does. It's not really like linear. You know, it bounces around, I think, in a good way. But it also, you know, it pays respect to the victims, I think, in a good way, especially Sharon Tate, who was one of the most gorgeous freaking women on the planet. And it's just a tragedy. It's such a tragedy. And I found this really interesting and also a bit controversial, but they do play a lot of Charles Manson's music. And it's really strange because he was a talented musician, but he was just the most horrible, heinous guy imaginable. And that really just kind of perplexes you when you're listening to somebody that's very talented, but they are just a disgusting human being. Number 5, we're going to go with the TV show Adolescence. I think there's only 4 or 5 episodes, another Netflix show. Netflix does good TV. I think they should stick to TV and documentaries, okay? And movies that have already been put out. I don't know. But Adolescence, watch this for, I think, given the premise of this movie, you know, a child killer, I think it could have, and this isn't a con, I think the knee-jerk reaction to making a show like this would be to actually show it leading up to him getting caught, showing him actually committing the murders and what leads up to it. No, this whole show takes place after the murder has happened. To make it even more unique, it focuses on his family. What is the reaction of the family of this young killer? Maybe the reason he's doing it, you know, is it because of his family, because of his mother, because of his father? It explores all those ideas in this, because sometimes serial killers or murderers, it's just there. You know, they could come from a good family. And I'm not going to lie, this did make me think of like young Michael Myers. Like this kid could easily play young Michael Myers if they did like a Michael Myers movie. That's, even though he talks, it's sort of like that. Not to say that there aren't events that lead up to him killing this person, but every episode is one take, which is amazing. And I heard behind the scenes, they shot some of these episodes, I think like 10 times in a row, maybe even more, to get it right. Because if you mess up, then you got to start over. Phenomenal performances as well in this show. I definitely have to mention Owen Cooper, who played the child in this. And I believe this was his first role. This kid was absolutely incredible. And I think he's backed up by great acting, because then you had Stephen Graham, who played Tommy in Snatch. Freaking love Snatch. And he's been doing a lot of work ever since Snatch. And I think it's great that he has a role like this to really shine, because he's a great actor. So Adolescence, wow, what a great show. And by the way, we are now in the, I guess, the great of the list. Adolescence is great. So number 4 is Ash. Also, I think is great, although my comments, some of them would beg to differ. Maybe this is just a polarizing type of film, and I definitely have another polarizing film on here. But I really loved Ash once it got going. If you like movies like Alien and Event Horizon, then this is definitely going to be up your alley. Our main character, Isa Gonzalez, she wakes up and all her crew are dead. This is at the beginning of the movie. And then she's just trying to figure out what the hell is going on. This is on another planet called Ash. And then she runs into this character played by Aaron Paul from Breaking Bad. And so the movie is cool because you got a character that doesn't remember anything, and then you got this character who's a question mark. And so they're both kind of question marks, and you don't know if they're good, if they're bad, and because there could be like a science fiction like organism that's at play here, right? And I'm being very careful with my words on this one, but man, once this movie really gets going, and I forgot to mention The Thing, there's definitely some comparisons to The Thing in terms of like the creature work and the effects and whatnot. Man, I loved this movie. It was quite a surprise to me. And just a beautifully looking shot. Like you could take every frame of this movie and it would look like a wallpaper. You know, like a computer wallpaper. It's a beautiful looking movie. Think color out of space. Okay, number 3, Death of a Unicorn. This was a nice little horror comedy. I think it leans more on comedy. And I think it does have great character work in it. It feels very much like a Jurassic Park with a kind of a cosmic science fiction angle twist to it, because there is a unicorn that's in the movie that has these powers. Like Jenna Ortega's character, she grabs hold of the unicorn's horn. It enlightens her. Let's just say that, right? But I absolutely adored the characters. They're all like in this one expensive house. Paul Rudd is like this real estate agent that's trying to get a job. And just all the characters are just so eccentric here. You know, they're rich, they're very narcissistic. And it's always fun to watch those characters play out on screen. You got Téa Leoni in here, which I haven't seen her in anything in a while, but it's always nice to see Téa Leoni pop up. But Will Poulter definitely steals the freaking show. He's just a master at creating eccentric characters. And, you know, this guy, he's an idiot, which he was kind of an idiot in the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 as well. So if you like Will Poulter's work, you'll definitely love him in this. And it's got some fun, surprising violence in it too. So there's definitely some horror meat on here. Horror meat, is that a thing? I don't know. Number 2 is Better Man. Now, I don't remember if Better Man came out at the very beginning of the year or if it came out in December, but this was the movie that came, I believe it was January, and it just died a horrible death because the premise was really weird because you had... It's a biopic, but they have a monkey playing Robbie Williams. And so I can see why it didn't land on the audience because in the States, Robbie Williams isn't as nearly as big as he is in the UK. But all that aside, I am so glad I watched this. It's a beefy biopic that shows the ups and downs and rises and falls. It does not sugarcoat anything. That's what I love about it because thinking back to, like, say, the Queen biopic, I felt like that was a little bit sugar-coated, and they were just trying to touch the main beats. Whereas this documentary, it's about 2.5 hours long, and it really dives deep into Robbie Williams' career and even, like, the ugly stuff, okay? And it's just so creative in its nature and the way it handles things, beautifully directed. And lastly, number 1, The Woman in the Yard. Oh boy, I just put out my spoiler-free and a spoiler review on this, and I gotta be upfront with you guys. When I saw this movie, and I'm not gonna spoil anything in this countdown, okay? If you want spoilers on the movie, definitely watch my spoiler review. I talk a lot about ambiguous endings in movies, and this movie definitely had an ambiguous ending. What I thought when I came out of this movie was quite different than what the masses got from this movie. But it's one of those situations where once I found out what the masses thought about this movie, and by the way, the masses, I'm going to say it, they were right. They were right. Once I found out, then it's like a light bulb went off and I started thinking about everything that happened in the last act of the movie. And it made sense. And I was like, wow, how did I not pick up on that? And I guess I've had this happen with movies in the past. I don't know. Aside from that, I really just loved this movie. It is a bona fide horror movie with a lot of supernatural elements. It's a horror movie that thinks way outside the box, which is really awesome. It only has, I think, 4 characters in the movie. I think the character of the woman in the yard, it has the makings of like a horror icon. She is very, very creepy. And this movie had some great freaking jump scares, and I mean that in a good way, because we often attribute jump scares to something bad in horror movies because it's so overused in Blumhouse movies. And funny enough, this is a Blumhouse movie, but I think it feels like it could be like an A24 type movie. It's so well crafted by Yome Colette-Serra, who directed The Shallows, directed Orphan. Phenomenal director, and it shows. This is no different. You know, he just really knows how to create scares and build tension, and he does that through characters, building really interesting characters. I'm not going to say that you're going to love the characters in this movie because we have a character who has just experienced severe trauma. That's what this movie is about. It's about trauma. And if you're the type of person that watches a movie and you can't stand the characters, and I've been guilty of watching some movies that I don't like the characters and it kind of ruins the movie for me. I think if it suits the actual story, which this does, you know, and there is sort of an arc there, which I think there is with the main character of this movie, then despite their current flaws, you latch onto them and you want to take that journey with them and find out if they're going to come out of this emotional funk, you know? That's great character work. And hell, some of my favorite directors have written characters that do frustrating things. So this character does do frustrating things, but there's a reason why she does what she does. And I think that's the thing that people are missing on this movie. And some people have said that it's boring. How you could think this movie's boring, I have no idea. Because I was just freaking latched onto the screen for this movie. I was just so sucked in. So yeah, Woman in the Yard, high number 1. And this movie's probably going to stay in my top 5 for the entire year. Okay, it's going to be tough to knock it out. That's how much it really moved me. You know, this movie really did. I identified with the subject matter, and I loved it. So yeah, that's my encasing. This was an interesting month. Okay, I'll say that it was a very interesting month. Let me know your ranking for the month of March in the comments. Looking forward to getting in there with you guys. I always try to get into my comments and talk with you guys, even the people that get mad at me. I love it. I love talking with you guys, okay? Also, be sure to come over to Killer Flicks, where we talk horror all day and every day. And on Fridays, we do FIFA Fridays. Follow me at Drumdums on my social. Support me on Patreon. Become a channel member. Buy me a coffee. And you guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a good day, and Drumdum out.